We are glad here we got health facts coming on board with Dr. Brown. Dr. Brown, you're on the air.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, listeners. You're locked into WVOE, the voice of Ebony, where your health is our heartbeat. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Brown, president and founder of PressureMD Academy, welcoming you to another enriching session of Health Facts, the show where wisdom meets wellness and knowledge is always in season. So yet again, always good to talk to the folks, the listeners on WVOE, and also thank you for everybody that's online streaming. We always appreciate that as well. So we're once again we're here. We're blessed, and so we're getting ready to do part two of our kidney conversation. Episode 2 is going to be know your stage, testing, tracking, and taking control. Because what we want to do is we want to protect your kidneys and protect your life. That's what we want to do. So, of course, last week we talked a little bit about, well, actually not a little bit, talked a lot. We kind of did an introduction into what the kidneys are, where they're located, what the function of the kidney is, and kind of some of the dangers and things that happen to our kidneys. So this second episode is going to be talking a little bit about knowing your stage. A little bit of information about testing, tracking, and taking control. And and yet again, people are always like, oh, okay, why is this important? And it's important because yet again, the kidneys are very important organs in the body. And also you can lose a lot of kidney function. You can actually lose like almost 80 to 90% of your kidney function before any symptoms appear. Okay. So so again, we get this a lot. I'm a kidney specialist, of course, but we get this a lot where people come in and come to find out that they only have like 20% of the kidney function. Some people I've seen as low as 10 or 15% of their kidney function left before these people had any symptoms whatsoever. Sometimes they're going to urgent cares or the ER for something totally different. And they get some news that, hey, pal, your kidneys are almost gone. And sometimes they're able to come to the outpatient clinic. Sometimes, they're going in for one issue, find out they got no kidney function left. And next thing you know, they got to go in the hospital and start dialysis out of the blue. Now, most of these people are not folks that have primary care. They're usually not, getting tests on a regular basis, and they have diseases that they don't know about. But of course, here, as listeners to WVOE, you all are tuning into Health Facts, and of course, to get screenings and to get primary care. So, so that's one of the reasons. And so as we get ready to get started on this, so what we're talking about is chronic, is going to be chronic kidney disease. And that's a situation where you have, either less than 60%, well 60, I use the term 60% loosely, but we'll talk about what that means later on. Less than 60% of your kidney function is remaining for over 3 months, or there's other signs of kidney damage. So it could be protein, could be blood in the urine that lasts over 3 months. This gets you what we call chronic kidney disease, okay? And that's what puts you at risk of end-stage kidney disease where you have dialysis. And so chronic kidney disease affects about 35 million adults in the U.S. 35 million adults in the U.S. But 9 out of 10 people don't even know they have it. Well, okay, so like out of the 35 million people that have chronic kidney disease, 9 out of 10 people do not know they have it. So they don't know that they got protein in there or their kidney function is down. So the majority of people that have it don't even know this. Okay. And so that's why we want to talk about this. It's a silent disease. A lot of people come in, they think that their back don't hurt, so they don't have it. That doesn't matter. They think they peeing clear, so they don't have it. That doesn't matter. Like I said, if you're having back pain or changes in your urine from kidney disease, that's usually a real severe case. But most people can have early stages of damage to the kidney, not even know it. Okay. So, all right. So that's why we want to talk about chronic kidney disease, and that's why testing matters. Okay. Because early detection can save your kidneys. And I tell this about to some of my patients I talk to. I talk to them about the fact that, early detection, because a lot of people don't want to know, right? They don't want to know. Oh my God, I don't want to know if it got something I want to know. But no, 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 no. You want to know. You want to know that you have kidney disease or any of these other diseases, because then that power switches to you. You actually you have a responsibility. You have a power where you can possibly slow down a lot of these disorders. And chronic kidney disease is one of those disorders where you can save your kidneys. And even if they do fail later on, it could be the difference between being on dialysis in 5 years or being on dialysis in 15 years. So you want to be one of those people that finds out early so you can slow this condition down. All right. So the earlier you identify even mild kidney damage, the better chance you have to stop. Yeah, so slow or even stop further decline of your kidney function. Okay. All right. So now it all starts with two simple tests. So the screening for chronic kidney disease requires two simple tests, right? So you got one test is a blood test, okay? The other test is a urine test. So blood test and a urine test. So it's not just one test, it's two different tests, a blood test and a urine test. Okay, the blood test helps you to figure out, how much kidney function you have remaining. And that's through something that's called an EGFR. We measure something called creatinine, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but you measure something called creatinine, and that helps you to find something called an EGFR. So if you ever get no, not if you ever, you're going to go, because you're going to start getting copies of your labs, whether it's physical copies or if you get an app, you're going to open up the app and you're going to take a look at it. So when you look at your labs, okay, there's going to be something on there that says EGFR. And that EGFR is, think of it as a kidney number. I tell people to think of it like when you have your phone and there's a battery gauge up there. Think of it as the battery gauge for your kidney. It's your kidney number. And so the lower that number goes, the less kidney function you have remaining. So that's one, and that's through the blood test. That's okay. So we got that there. The urine test is looking for something called albumin. Okay, because albumin is a type of protein that can leak through the kidneys and be a signal of early damage. It's an early warning system for us. Okay, so those are the two tests. You want a blood test and a urine test. You're looking for an EGFR in the blood, and you're looking for the albumin in the urine test. Okay, and these are the two things that you're looking at to detect early kidney disease, and then it can help to monitor as well. Okay, so you want to make sure you get those. All right. So now, okay, all right, thanks. Hey, thanks, Dr. Brown. I really appreciate that. Now, wait, what do the numbers mean? Okay, so that's the next part we're going to talk about, because you want to, now that you have that concept, you want to understand what the numbers mean. Okay, and what we do in the kidney world is we actually have stages for your kidney disease. There are actually two different stages. There's a stage for the kidney function, and there's actually a stage for the albumin. Now we tend to not focus as much on the albumin stages, in our regular clinics, but the EGFR stages are hugely important because they tell us, not only how much kidney function you have remaining, but also how close you are to dialysis. And that, for most people, that's what they really are like. Hey, that's what I want. That's what most people know is how close are you to dialysis. Okay, and for the folks that are online, I'm going to try and get you an image that might help you out a little bit here, and I'm going to share this screen. Okay, let's see if it. Hopefully, this is coming through for you. And this right here is, of course, your EGFR and your numbers that are kind of going through here. This is kind of a quick way to kind of visualize how much kidney function you have. Now, for those people that are online, that are on the radio, of course, I'll try and talk through this, right? So when we're born, when we're younger, your EGFR or kidney number is pretty much at its max, right? Because that's you're born, kidneys haven't had a chance to do a lot of filtering and things of this nature. And so you have the most kidney function that you're going to have. So that EGFR number usually is anywhere between 90 and 120. Yeah, so it can be a little bit higher than 100 for some people. So usually between 90 and 120. Okay. Now that number will drop down, and so as you kind of drop down, you'll go from 90 to 60. And then you can kind of drop down from 60 to 30, 30 to 15, and then of course up under there. So as you see, as this number drops, this represents that you have less kidney function remaining. Okay, and I'm gonna actually get you another chart in here. Let's see, we can change this out a little bit, and to kind of help you out. And so basically, it's telling you that you have less kidney function remaining. There, okay, good. All right. And so if I put you on a different little chart, and this is for everybody that's on the that's on online, kind of like you see here, you have stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, which actually has 2 stages in it, stage 4 and stage 5. So if you have other signs of kidney damage, say that albumin, your stage 1 says that, hey, that kidney function has a lot of kidney function remaining, but there's some sort of damage that's in there, whether it's blood in the urine, albumin in the urine, something of nature. When you drop down to stage 2, and that's when that EGFR number is anywhere between 60 and 89, that's stage 2. Now, what's going on is that it's dropped a little bit, mildly decreased, but for the most part, kidneys are going to be functioning pretty normal. Once you get down to stage 3, and that stage 3 is anywhere between 30 and 59, that's when people really get alarmed, because this is actually when most people are referred, is in that stage 3, because those other 2 stages, you got quite a bit of kidney function going on. And so a lot of times, people might just be watching it. But once you get down to stage 3, that's when people start getting concerned, and like I said, they start doing the referrals to the kidney specialist and things of this nature. And like I said, you can go anywhere from 30 to 59, and as that EGFR number starts dropping, this is when some people might actually start having some signs and symptoms. Blood pressure may be hard to control. Like I said, some people might have a little bit of swelling, but even the signs and symptoms here are usually pretty mild. Now, stage 4 is whenever your kidney number drops below 30. It hits 29, so it's between 15 and 29. Now, that's stage 4 is the real, like I said, if you're looking online, as you can see, all the bars around here are red. And why they're red? Because it really is the danger zone. This is when, you've lost quite a bit of the kidney function. So whether it's you just found out you had stage 4, or you kind of dropped down to stage 4, stage 4 is really preparation for dialysis. Okay, that's really what this stage is all about. So you've lost quite a bit of kidney function. People may have a few more signs and symptoms here. You can develop things like anemia and other electrolyte abnormalities. And so your docs are probably going to watch this pretty closely, and maybe every 2 to 3 months, to make sure everything stays stable, or see if there's anything that they can do to kind of slow this down. But these are the kind of the stages. Now, once you drop below 15, this is that EGFR number is below 15. This is what we call stage 5. And this is when you qualify for dialysis, basically. Now, some people, like I said, once you get to 14, you may need dialysis. There may be some other stuff going on there, and your kidney doctor may say, hey, look, it's time to go on dialysis. Now, some people, even though their kidney number is really low like that, they may not have a lot of signs and symptoms, and someone may be willing to watch that. But of course, like everything else, every doc is different. Every kidney specialist is different. So, but at less than 15, this is when we're talking dialysis here. You definitely should be getting education about dialysis, preparation for dialysis, because this is that level. Because really, at that point in time, they can start you, right? So these are the kind of the 5 stages. So stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and stage 5 is really kind of dialysis level. As a matter of fact, a lot of the education for dialysis comes at stage 4. So, and we'll talk next week about a little bit about what happens when you have, when you've gone from plain stage 5 to stage 5 on dialysis. We'll talk a little bit about that next week, but that's kind of our normal thing. So, like we said, your EGFR is one thing, and then the albumin is the next. We actually can stage your albumin as well. And for those that are online, you can see we have an A1, A1, A2, and A3. So the A1 is when you really don't have a lot of albumin in the urine, so we really can't detect it. And so that's actually a pretty good prognostic indicator. If even if the function is down, and we don't see a lot of protein in there, that means for most people, they're not losing kidney function very rapidly. But the more albumin we can detect in the urine, that usually indicates that kidney is at greater risk of losing function faster. So the A2 is going, as you can see here. So if you're a stage 3, like especially a stage 3B, but no albumin, like I said, you're an orange. But if you are spilling a lot of protein, you go to what we call it a red. That means you're at greater risk of that kidney function dropping faster. And then we also have an A3, which is quite a bit of protein that's in the urine, and that means you're at the greatest risk of increasing loss of kidney function is what's going on there. Okay, so that's kind of what we have here. So we're gonna recap this because I know it's a lot, especially for those that are just listening. What I'm talking about is a lot that's going on there, and but we're gonna go back and recap this. So number one, so in order to screen for kidney disease, you got two things. You got the blood test and the urine test. The blood test is your EGFR, okay, and that's the kidney number, and that number tells you how much kidney function you have remaining. That's what the blood test tells you, how much kidney function you have remaining, and they're going to use that number. They're going to put you at one of primarily 5 stages. So stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, or stage 5. Okay, that's where you're going to be. That's where we're going to put you there. Okay, and then we got the urine test. And this is especially important in screening because a lot of times we can see, we might even see some albumin, and this is especially for diabetics. You might see the albumin in the urine before you start seeing the drop in the EGFR. So the albumin test is the early detection for chronic kidney disease. And so, and the more albumin you see, the greater your risk of future kidney decline in the future. Okay, so we got blood tests, urine tests. Urine test is checking for the albumin, so that should be measured as well. Okay, and then we talked about all of the other all of the stages and exactly what that means. And I wanted to spend I know I'm surprised some people are probably like, dang, you're on this for a long time. And one of the reasons I spend a lot of time with that is because it's kind of complicated. I mean, this is, it is a complicated system that we use to assess where your kidney function is and try to get a sense of, how what is your risk of future kidney decline. One of the things we like to do as kidney specialists is we try to hold on to whatever kidney function you have, we try to hold on to that as long as possible because it's not always possible that we can get the kidney function that you've lost. So if you if you get referred, your kidney function is at say 35, that EGFR is at 35, the first and primary goal is to keep you from losing any future kidney, um, keep you from losing any further kidney function. Okay, that's the primary goal. Now, depending on what we find, like I said, there might be something that we can treat or something that we can have you change in your life that will lead to an increase in the kidney function. But if we get that, we're very thankful. Like I said, hopefully the science can kind of help us out with that. But even if we can't do that, the primary thing is to keep you from losing any further kidney function, and that requires a diagnosis, finding out what is it that's driving your kidney function, and finding out if there are any treatments that can kind of help slow down that loss of kidney function. And there are some medications out there, especially for those people that have like stuff like diabetes. There are some medications now that are available that can kind of help slow the decline of kidney loss. So and preserve what we call preserved kidney mass. So that's what's going on there. Okay. So hopefully, I'm hoping that was helpful, right? I'm hoping that was helpful. But I really do think that staging, that the EGFR and the staging comes it comes clearly to everyone because that really is a cornerstone and management of your chronic kidney disease. It's going to help you to communicate to not only for you to understand this, but also for you to communicate not only with your primary care clinician, but also with your nephrologist. If you have other clinicians that you encounter, this can be very helpful. So say if you have to get a surgery or something of nature and you have stage 4 kidney disease, you want to make sure that they know this because that can change how, how much medication you're getting, how much fluid you're getting. So those things, so that's where this becomes important for you to understand this so that not only you can know what's going on with your body, but also you can communicate this when you're in different in different health systems. Okay, so that's where this comes from. Okay, so now so next spot, just the next part of this is going to be talking about a little bit more about how important this stuff is. And because they say that research has shown that people who are diagnosed early and especially before that kidney function drops below 60, can slow progression sometimes up to 50% with a couple of simple steps. So, you want to, and those steps are the things we've talked about before. You want to control the blood pressure, okay? You want to manage your diabetes. You want to keep that diabetes. Matter of fact, we try to keep people that A1C under 7.0. We'll talk about diabetes later. So you want to keep that up under control. Your blood pressure, you want to keep that top number less than 130. You want to keep that bottom number less than 80. So less than 130 over 80. You want to avoid certain pain medications. Like one of the first things we tell people is to avoid what we call NSAIDs. So that's the Aleve, ibuprofen sort of medications because those type of medications can be harmful to the kidney. Matter of fact, they can actually cause kidney damage, and that's something that a lot of people don't know. Okay, and then the other thing is eating less salt, less processed food, and it's looking now like sugars, especially refined sugars, may also be harmful as well, and that is so eating less salt, eating less processed food, and really I think that this cooking at home or eating in places that have more of a home style meals and foods or a nice kitchen is becoming more and more important for people because like when you cook at home, you control how much salt's in there, you control how much sugar's in there. There's no extra added flavorings because it's you it's just you. So I think that as we look more and more into how to prevent and slow these chronic diseases, our lifestyle is becoming more and more important. And one of the fundamental parts, of course, exercise is one part, but the other one is what we put into our body. So making sure that we're eating a healthier foods, minimally processed foods is becoming more important. Okay. So, so these are kind of the reasons why we want to detect things early. We want to educate people about what's going on because you really can make a difference in not only how you navigate this the renal world, I guess if you want to call it, for more or less, if you want to call it that, but also you're making a real impact in what happens to you in the future. Kind of like we said before, slowing down how fast you're losing kidney function can be the difference between you losing your kidney function in 4 years or you losing kidney function in 8 years. And that's a huge difference because once you go on dialysis, yes, we have the ability to do dialysis, but once you go on dialysis, there's mortality, and that's your risk of death starts going up once this happens. And there's a lot of people doing research into this, but you just have to remember, like I said, we're uniquely and wonderfully made. I mean, so the bodies that we have are designed are uniquely designed. And yes, we have dialysis so it can replace the kidney function, or we say it replaces the kidney function, but it doesn't replace everything that kidney does. Okay, so it does clean the blood, but then you also got to do extra medications in order to balance things that are not simply replaced by attaching you to a machine. So that's one of the reasons why we want to make sure that everybody understands how important this is, and make sure that everybody puts this not just know it, but also puts this stuff to work. Okay, so make sure we're doing that. All right, so we're doing that. So now, and another question that, and then this is something else that a lot of people like to ask, and that is it one kidney or two? So when it comes to that blood work, when we measure what's going on inside the blood, we're measuring the effect of both kidneys functioning together. So as that kidney number goes down, that means that means that both of those kidneys are losing their ability to work. The kidneys are unique because you actually only need one kidney to function in order to live a normal life. So if you have two normal kidneys, you can actually donate one of those kidneys, and your kidney numbers and everything actually pretty much remains the same. The other kidney can continue to work. So when we see that kidney number is dropping, that represents both of those kidneys. That means that both of those kidneys are working as hard as they can. Now, one may be, say your kidney number is at 60, one may be working at the 60, the other is at 15. And so your number reminds up being 60. And there's some special tests we can actually do to tell which one is working best. But routinely, nobody's going to do that. So we just know that when that kidney number is at 60, that the best kidney that you have is only able to keep your kidney number at a 60. Okay, so that's how that works, right? Okay, so we talked a little bit about that. So we talked about the how to screen for early stage kidney disease. We talked about the importance of things like high blood pressure, keeping those things under control. We talked about the two tests you need and the stages that you will go through for monitoring the chronic kidney disease. So we talked about all that stuff. And I always hate to use this little scare tactic, but it's not really scare tactics. This is the reality, and that is about the disparities. Because kidney disease does not affect all communities equally. So, and of course, like so many disparities, who gets affected the most? We do. Okay. So it just affects us. African Americans, we Black Americans make up about 13% of the US population, but they represent over 35% of people on dialysis. Okay. So 13% of the population, but in the dialysis world, almost twice the, twice twice the population in the dialysis world. So that means basically one out of every three. Okay, so that's a pretty significant disparity. Now, in terms of you know in terms of some of the whys, of course, we have higher rates of hypertension, higher rates of diabetes, and then there's the barriers to early screening. Like I said, yet again, we have a culture that, especially for the guys, that where we don't really interact with the healthcare system as well. Sometimes limited access to specialists if they're not, if it's not close, or if you got to drive an hour and a half to see somebody, then of course that makes it a little bit harder to get yourself screened or to get the information that you need, right? And of course the historical distrust, we have that, it's real. And it also contributes, especially to early diagnosis of kidney disease. So all that stuff kind of matters. But like I said, 13%, we're 13% of the population. We represent 35% of the people on dialysis. And African Americans are almost 4 times as likely to develop kidney failure. And amongst Black men over the age of 50, kidney disease is one of the top 10 causes of death. So this stuff is real. The other thing, we didn't really go into a lot of other details. The other thing is that chronic kidney disease is a marker for heart disease. So if you have chronic kidney disease, your risk of cardiac events is higher than a person with diabetes. And I think most people understand the concept that if you have diabetes, you're at high risk of heart disease. But a lot of people don't talk about the fact that if you just have chronic kidney disease, your risk, you also have a much higher risk of heart disease, so heart conditions. So this is another reason why we want to talk, not just talk about it, but give you the tools that you need to understand why you need to be screened. Number one, why you need to be screened, okay, and then what those screening numbers mean. So if you get your yes, so when you get your labs, yet again, when you get your labs, what we're going to start doing is it's not going to just be you go to the doctor's office, they say your numbers are fine. No. You want a copy of your labs, okay? You want a copy of your labs. You want access to the app that has your labs, and you're going to carry those with you. You're going to take a look through them. You might not understand everything that's going on, but you're going to, part of learning is the first thing you got to do is how do you learn? You got to, what's the first thing, when you go take a class, what's the first thing they do? They give you a book, a syllabus. Okay. So you can't even start learning until they give you the book. So your book is your labs. So the first thing you're going to do is you want to start by getting access to your labs the next time you go for your physical or next time you go to the clinic, you're going to get a copy of labs, and that way you can look through those things. And yes, you're not going to know what it is, but you can write down your questions. You can circle the things that look a little funny, and when you go back again, you may have to make a special appointment to get someone to explain that stuff to you. Okay, so we're going to start doing that, and that way you're going to, and when you take a look at it, you're going to see that EGFR, and you're like, I was listening to health facts, and now I know what this EGFR means. Wait a minute, my EGFR is at 55. But you said the kidney numbers are okay. So what does the 55 mean? Do I need to go see a kidney specialist? So these are the sort of questions you can ask, and this gives you a little bit of empowerment once you understand what these numbers mean. Okay, and that's kind of our purpose here with Health Facts. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. We're just going to do something real quick. So every listener that's on here can do today. You want to know your blood pressure, and keep it in check. You want to keep that blood pressure less than 130/80. If you have diabetes, you want to control your blood sugar, hemoglobin A1C less than 7.0. Okay, you want to avoid unnecessary pain medications, NSAIDs like ibuprofen, naproxen. Can affect the kidneys, so you want to make sure you avoid those if you don't need it. Reduce your salt. You want to stay hydrated, and make sure you don't skip your annual checkups. Make sure you're getting those labs, especially those of you that are at risk of kidney disease. Make sure you get those things done. Okay, so for today, I think I'm running out of time over here. So just want to make sure that everybody knows. So we kind of talked about what the kidneys are. In this session, we talked about how to screen for your kidney, screen for your kidneys to make sure your kidneys are healthy. Okay, and we talked a little bit about the numbers you're going to want to keep in order to minimize the loss of kidney function. So we've kind of talked about all that. Now, next week, what we're going to talk about is what happens when the kidneys fail. Okay, so once your kidneys fail, then that's a whole nother conversation about what we can do. But there are some things we can do for it. Okay, so thank you all for tuning in, and of course, as always, everything that's on here is for education and entertainment purposes only. I'm a doctor, but I'm not your doctor unless you sign up. So make sure that you have a good primary care, that you get your questions answered, that you get your screening done, and nothing here is meant for your specific it's not specific medical advice. It's just education and entertainment. So we always have to put that disclaimer out for it. And this affects anything that we say on this show. Okay, so make sure that you all have good primary care. Make sure you get your numbers checked. Keep learning. Be sure to kind of follow us on PressureMD Academy on the YouTube channel. And we'll see you again next week. Thank you all for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. And WVOE, thank you for allowing me to become one of your hosts.
Thank you, and God bless you. Have a blessed day.
All right, you too. God bless you.
To Health Facts here at WVOE in Chapel, North Carolina.